Welcome to the short video. We're going to look at the going home checklist. We're going to explore the idea and purpose of checking out, run through the meaning of some of the questions and what's behind trying to get people checked out of a day at work or a process of work, appreciate some of the challenges that exploring this option might reveal, and then discuss the relevance and importance of the teams and individuals we work with. Don't forget that care support pyramid, those 4 dimensions that make a huge impact on people's experience at work: hygiene factors, relentless attention to improving the working conditions, the environment, the rest area, refreshments, flexible working, etc. Build an effective team. Interpersonal relationships are strong, especially that relationship with the line manager. But the team feel in control, they can make decisions, they work well together, share objectives. Supporting self-care and well-being is part of that team ethos. It's okay to be overwhelmed some days. It's okay to struggle some days. It's okay not to be okay. But we're going to put in place a climate which encourages people to take care of themselves because it's professional and it's not selfish but selfless. Let's take care of ourselves today so that we can take care of others. But if we do start to struggle, if we are distressed in any way, that we know how to access our referral intervention services and that they are swiftly deployed and overwhelming in their desire to help. So let's pull out the healthy leadership element of this and remind ourselves of the healthy leadership rhythm, a series of events in your leadership pattern. Just as in your technical or clinical pattern, you have competencies. Well, there are some competencies to leadership as well. In your leadership competencies, can you build teams, build effective teams with good interpersonal relationships, shared objectives, a leadership competency? Can you align the team, make decisions, plan and communicate? Can you take care of those hygiene factors, checking in with your people, using the dimensions of quality, safe, effective and a good experience to think about patient care, but also the experience that your team members have in your service? Focus on results. Remember that human beings function differently to machines in the organization, and remember, as we design stuff, the human being at the heart of those designs. The absent team tomorrow, next week or next month is built on the decisions and actions of today. We create tomorrow's team by the actions we take and interactions we engage in today. Knowing how to observe our team is just as important as knowing how to take observations of patients. Are the team improving, deteriorating, or are they stable? And what do I do next? Creating a continuous learning environment through debriefing, and then essentially in terms of your leadership, this final one. Make sure you get your people home safe. Home safe physically, but also psychologically, so they can rest and recover. And that's what we're going to look at in this session. Let's pull out that rest and recovery, and let's look at the going home checklist. How we end things matters. It really does. How we start to switch. What are the triggers between ending one thing and beginning another? So what are the triggers between ending our work role, whether we're working at home remotely, whether we're working on our own, within a team, clinical work or non-clinical work? At some point, the work element of our day comes to an end. And as it ends, the life bit of our balance starts to grow. How we end things and begin things matters. So how do projects come to an end? How does a meeting come to an end? A shift, a day, the conversations you engage in. So how do you check out? How do you bring things to an end so that people are clear about the ending, know what's just happened, and can focus on whatever's next? In terms of making that shift from work to life, finding balance, here are some good stories that I've heard recently. The best one, the one I like the most, is the signpost story. A lady told me that as she's driving home from work, she passes a road sign. As she passes that road sign, she realized that she's further away from the hospital and closer to home. And that becomes a psychological trigger for her. It psychologically triggers, that's further away, something else is closer, that's where my balance is going to be. Less about what's behind me, more about what's in front. What's behind me might have been being an outstanding nurse, pharmacist, manager, porter. What's ahead of me is being the best wife, mother, father, partner, friend that I can possibly be. Lots of people have told me stories about taking the uniform off. So taking the uniform off and putting on other clothes is another trigger, the end of something, the end of that shift. But it needs to be a psychological trigger, not a lazy habit. I'm taking off the uniform, putting the day behind me, putting it in a place where I can reflect on it later, but actually moving forward to something else. The same with washing in showers, people who wash the day away. But again, it needs to be an active trigger, not simply a lazy habit. But there are lots of things people do to make that switch. Lots of stories about the drive home from work, singing in the car, or listening to reflective mindfulness tapes. Taking up some exercise, even if it's walking the dog. Just anything about then being in a different place, something which moves you from one state to another, from focusing on the stress and anxiety of work to enjoying and reflecting and experiencing the good things around you. But they need to be triggers. They need to be cognitive triggers that really shift you from one place to another. As you're leaving work, it might be a conversation. There might be journaling process for you that helps. Several people have told me ideas of journaling where they write things down, and in the writing things down, it puts place in that reflective moment of the day. Maybe even people write down things to do tomorrow. I've written it down. I don't need to hold it in my mind. I can move on. But again, other triggers for the end of a process, the end of a meeting, a project, a day, a shift, might be gratitude. Just to say thank you to people. But also it might be a process of connecting in to things. Leaving one thing, connect to another, such as Headspace or other supportive apps and interventions that just give you a decompression period. I'm moving from this place to that, and this is the trigger, this is the process, this is the habit I have for doing that. We know these endings are coming. A project will end, a meeting will end, the day will end, the theatre list will end, the shift will end, so we can see it coming. So we don't have to wait for that final moment for them to be panicked, for them to feel I can't get the team together, people are moving off in their own speed. We can start to plan the ending. Make sure, even if you have to do it separately or in smaller groups rather than the whole team, that you praise people for what they've done. Seek opportunities to learn. That might be formal debriefs or even partial debriefs. What one thing did we learn today? What one thing are we pleased about today? Be grateful for the things that happened to you today. And try to put on some visuals, either activity for tomorrow, a place to put some stuff, information, so that people feel informed and well communicated with. But try and also remember the way that our mind works. Sometimes our mind is not our best friend. If 10 things happen to you today at work and 9 of them are good and 1 of them is not, it is that one poor event that we focus on. Our brain takes us to that one negative event. And just thinking of one positive event doesn't balance it out, doesn't make it all equal. We might need to think of more positive things. So reflect on the good things that happened today. Even with some poor interactions, some high workload, some missed breaks, the majority of what people got up to today was good. They had good interactions with colleagues. They did some good work. They cared for people well. They developed a service and produced a product which aided the whole process of the organization. More good contributions were made to the purpose of this organization than bad. More people did good work to help us achieve our goal of delivering high quality, compassionate care to our community. So we can now start to think about how we're going to end that day. When you were coming into work this morning, you wanted to be the best nurse, doctor, pharmacist, manager, porter, chef. And now you're going to go home. Put the same energy and effort into going home to be the best wife, mother, father, partner, friend, etc. So the going home checklist may be a way forward. There are some formal checklists and you're more than welcome to use them. I'll send them out to you in the links and support that comes with this product. But you can make them informal as well. You can design your own for particular wards or areas. You could do it on your own. So the way the going home checklist works is this. Firstly, take a moment to reflect on the day, or the night shift, or the project, or the meeting, whatever it was, but take a moment to reflect. Think about what's just happened. Acknowledge that some things were difficult and some things were challenging. The going home checklist is not something about denying the reality of the world by making some positive big up process. So acknowledge that some things today were hard, some things today were really difficult. But more went well. More went well for you today. More good was done in the organisation today. So consider at least 3, but maybe more, things that went well. Who did you help? Who did you support? What good work did you do? How did you share that good work? And now you've reflected on your own day and put into context some of perhaps those poor events with the overwhelming good that was done. Maybe now check in with your colleagues. Be kind, be compassionate. Ask them about what's gone well today. Thank them for being around today. Thank them for their contributions. But if you're feeling like you're struggling, if you're feeling stressed at the end, then seek some support. That support might be at the end of a day or a meeting or something. It might just be a moment of debriefing, just checking out with somebody, just an opportunity to be heard. Might then lead on to other things and other services and referrals. But first off, it might just be the opportunity to be heard. Leave at work what needs to be left at work. So if you can leave things at work, if you can write down things that to be done tomorrow, don't try and take them home in your head. Clear your mind as much as possible. That's going to stay at work and I'll do that tomorrow. I know that gets hard now with remote working, with people being at home, but do the same at home. Maybe pack up all your things, put them to one side so there's no distraction, so there's no temptation to carry on working. Have a distinction between those two states, work and life. And now start to think about a way of engaging with the role ahead of you. If the role behind you was being the best nurse you could today, delivering high quality, compassionate care to the community, then today now you want to engage in being the next role that you would take on. And that next role is going to be a good friend, is going to be a great daughter, a good father, a loving partner. So now engage in the next role that's ahead of you. How and when to do that switch, you'll find a balance. Some people can do it absolutely within the physicality of the organisation. Some people do it in that decompression of a travel journey. Don't underestimate the importance of travel. Lots of people say they have no time for well-being. Well, maybe create well-being in that time, in that distance between the going home and the getting home. So as a team, maybe do a going home checklist together. What are the good things that happened for us today? Thank you, team. Thank you, everybody, for your hard work and your contribution. Now, what we're going to look forward to. But as individuals, maybe create your own little checklist at the end of the day. Things you say to yourself, things you reflect upon that allow you to put into context and put into balance that difference between life and work. When I send out the pack, there will be those 2 versions of the checklist, but you could create your own. And while a going home checklist, a small conversation at the end of the day, a little bit of reflection may only seem like a small thing. Those small things, those next steps that you take, that small step of getting home a little bit more relaxed, with a little bit of the stress dealt with and responded to, may just make all the difference over time. Please don't hesitate to get in touch with me if you want these products, if you want more information, and thank you very much for watching. Thank you.